Welcome to Scaling Up with Shane. Today we're going to share how apartment owners can increase tenant retention and decrease turnover. The first thing, the main reason people are going to move out is usually due to maintenance. When people have a complaint about something, they want it fixed right away. Maintenance is something that can be done prior to them moving in, make sure the unit's very good, everything's taken care of. And then as soon as they get in there, any issues they have, get them solved right away. And long term, get stuff fixed quickly. There's nothing more annoying than if you make a complaint and it takes weeks to get fixed, or if it can be just little things, and to the building owner it's not that important, but to the person living there that can be a huge deal. It might be a noise that something's making, it could be a leak. For most people, this is their biggest investment. That's their biggest payment every month. If even at $1,000 a month, they're paying $12,000 to be your client, and they need to be treated that way. For new investors, a lot of times it might be something where you're like, well, this is going to cost a few $100. It can wait till next month, or it can wait a while because it's a big expense. I don't want to spend it. But it's going to be way more expensive if that person doesn't renew the lease, and you have to completely redo the unit, get it ready for the next person. So it's always valuable. And for sure, if it's stuff to do with water or heat, or if they have air conditioning, those are usually the big reasons people move, is it's maintenance isn't taken care of and they don't feel like they're being heard by the management team. And you as the owner, the more you tend to the property, the better you keep it, the better care the tenants are going to take as well. They're going to start picking up garbage if they see it outside, if the whole rest of the yard is clean. But if there's garbage everywhere, or the hallways are dirty, they're not going to care either. So the cleaner you keep it, the better you take care of the property, the better the tenants are going to do as well. So number 2 would be communication. Most people, if they have a problem, even if it can't be fixed, if it's with another tenant, they want to be heard, right? That's most people's biggest complaint, is they'll put in a ticket or whatever and it doesn't get answered. As long as there's communication there, always let them know that you heard their problem, you're dealing with it. You're going to get asked, some of the stuff's going to be super unreasonable. There's no chance that you're going to be able to fix it or get it done. It's not even in the realm of possibility. But they need to know that you heard them and you're looking into it and you're going to do the best you can. Communication's huge. So we use a ticket system. It shows right away as soon as we get a ticket. If we've read it, the tenants get to know instantly that we've seen it. They'll get a message back that says we're looking into it. We track metrics on how fast those tickets get opened, how fast they get answered, how fast they get resolved. And I think it's like any business. You want to be heard, and that's the biggest part of it. So communication is huge. If you're doing, we try to always give people heads up. If we're going to do big renos on the property, they're going to know ahead of time, and we'll explain why. Like if we're doing this on a property now, we're upgrading the boiler system, so there's going to be 2 days that there's no hot water in the building, right? So we'll explain to the tenants, look, we're doing this so that the heat, we're not going to have any heat issues during the winter. The building's going to be more efficient. You're going to have a better heat, all of this stuff. So they kind of have an idea. It's not like we're just cutting their water for no reason. It's just communication. We send out monthly newsletters. I think the more communication with the tenants, the better. Some of the stuff's going to be so unreasonable. We had one lady that was complaining. We thought she was letting her dog out to poop on the lawn. She wrote back that she thinks we should DNA test the poop to find out whose dog it was in the unit, right? So that's something where there's no chance we do that, but you have to let her know, look, we'll look into the issue. We'll see who else has dogs on the property. We'll try to get some video of the dog, and you can work around it. But she thought that was a great idea, and you'll get things like that all the time where it's completely unreasonable. But you have to take it in. It is still your customer at the end of the day, and offer a solution, right? Let them know they've been heard. With communication, the thing it can do to a lot of relationships, when it starts out, it seems like it's always like, the evil landlord and the bad tenant. And that's kind of how a lot of people go into it. If you can have that communication and say, look, we both want the same thing. We want a building that runs efficiently. Everybody's happy. We don't want people to leave. It costs us money when people leave. So we're going to do whatever we can. So if we're improving the building, or maybe we're redoing a parking lot, it's going to be annoying. You're going to have to park your car on the street for a week while the parking lot gets done. But then we'll have no issues. There'll be no potholes. You'll have a nice new parking lot. And you can even talk to the current tenants and say, look, we're doing this. Maybe we're doing a hallway upgrade. We're doing this to attract better tenants into the building so we can build a nice community for everyone. And if you can turn it around and kind of make it about them, so they can see the benefit for themselves, they're going to they're going to treat you better. It's not like, oh, my landlord's doing this to the building and it sucks and I'm out, I have to park somewhere else. They're looking at it like, I'm getting a new parking lot. And it's kind of similar to, everybody, I drive down the highway every day and there's road construction and I'm annoyed every day. It's taking so long to do it. But then at the end of it, the highway has an extra lane and traffic moves quickly. And so if you can always see that side of it and try to get that across to tenants, hey, we're doing this so long term, the boiler doesn't go down in the middle of winter and everybody's frozen or plugging in heaters to try to keep the pipes from freezing. This is why we do the bigger projects. And it's the same with the littler stuff you do in the unit. They just need to know why. There needs to be communication there. We do annual inspections, so that's something some people don't like that, but it's like, hey, we're doing this because we might find something in one of the other units that shouldn't be in the building, right? Or there's all of this. It can be spun in a way so that it looks, we are doing all this to benefit the tenant. It's not like I just want a really nice building and a bunch of unhappy people, right? So I think number 3 would be actually when the tenant comes in, your screening process. And we made this mistake definitely at the beginning where it's like, hey, we just want to fill these units, get someone in quick, and that never works out good. You have to have a good screening process. You can set the parameters on income to rent ratio, criminal record check, credit check. You get references from other buildings, and you can decide how loose to be with that. But it almost has never worked out. Anytime we've ever strayed from that, if vacancy got up a little bit and we're like, well, this person doesn't have good credit, but we need to fill this unit, it's always going to burn you long term because they're not going to pay, and then you have to move them out, and now you didn't get paid for that time, and now you still have to lease the unit up. So the parameters with them going in and getting really good tenants from the start, a lot of tenants want, they do want to stay at a place longer. The average tenant base where we are stays about 2.7 years. So we kind of made a mandate. We want people to stay 4 years. So we actually run an incentive program where it incentivizes people to stay instead of incentivizing new people to move in. And that's where you kind of start to get that community. People know each other. That can be good and bad, but usually it's good, and there starts to be a community. The buildings that we have now with the lowest turnovers, where it really does feel like home for a lot of people. Like they're the ones that are volunteering for stuff, and they want to, we have an adopt a planter thing where tenants can adopt planter boxes, and we pay for the flowers and they take care of them for the summer. Things like that, it makes it feel for like home. It's not just like they're living in an apartment and we're taking care of everything. They kind of feel like it's a community. And so it's on the, the metrics you track, the things, but more the screening process going in. And you can get as in-depth as you want with that, but you're always better to have a little bit more vacancy and get the right tenant in there, or a little longer vacancy, than just throwing people in there, because one bad tenant can ruin a floor or ruin a building so fast, right? If they're having constant people in and out, and it's going to still take 2 months to get that person out. So it can really ruin the culture of a building. And when you take over a new property, you obviously had no control of the tenants that were in there. You have to set right at the beginning. Like, you have to be strict on, if rent's not there on the first, the late fee's coming, and the 14-day notice is coming after that, right? So if you set that up at the beginning, you'll weed out the bad tenants pretty quickly. Don't be shy to evict people if they're not following the rules. If you let a little bit slide, it goes a long ways, and then other people see that and they're like, well, he's letting his dog out, or he's doing this, so we can too, and it kind of goes. So, have strict parameters with who's getting in the building, and then once they're in there, you have your rules. Don't sway for one way. Just keep to your rules. So one of the biggest value adds you can really do to a building is keep tenants there longer, right? If you can increase their stay from 1 year to 4, you've saved on all of the turnover. Turnover is going to be your biggest expense as a landlord. You have to pay to lease the unit up again, to market it, to get it ready. You have to show it a bunch of times. You have to run credit checks on people. It's a huge expense if people can move out. So these would be 3 places where I would start, 3 things you can work on to try to keep the tenants longer. And the goal should always be, keep them in there for a couple of years. You're going to make a lot more money on that tenant staying there than if you turn it over every year.